Bella B.
Bella G.
So today I want to know from you, what is involved in having the ball most on the right or on the left between the feet, or maybe forward or backward, or even?
So you can find out what is the right position of where to put the ball with respect to the feet.
Sure.
I would say
It depends.
you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. So
Let's go and see what happens if we move the ball between our feet. We take,
can I model for you?
Mamma Mia, we have the bearded Kate Moss.
Wow. Go.
So
Where do you want it?
let's start with what happens if we put the ball back between our feet. So for a right-handed player, the ball is moved more toward the right foot. For a left-handed player, more toward the left foot.
Ci sta.
Mike? Basically, if we could keep doing always the same swing, because that is already a reference point, various things can happen. The first thing is that you will tend to increase the angle of attack. We hit the ball when the club is descending.
Probably the club is still descending because the lowest point of the swing, of the arc of the swing, will tendentially be over the ball. Ideally,
Yes. So
but what if I'm like this?
let's rule out for now. We'll see that later. At the moment, let's exclude swing changes and
Okay.
positions. Another thing that may happen here, the loft of the stick will tend to decrease. We'll get there with the hands that are still a little bit ahead. With respect to the ball, the more the ball to the right, the more the loft will be low.
In fact, we usually say back the ball between the feet a little bit to get out from under the trees so it stays low.
It depends, but it can be good. Other thing that happens. We will hit the ball with the face of the club that will still be slightly open because it has not yet fully closed, and with the trajectory of the club still going slightly toward the right. These are the main things that can happen, excluding then.
We say sulla carta in Italy, on paper.
Correct. Then, of course, there are actually some small intense variables in terms of speed, for example. That the ball is not hit at the point where the club is going fastest, because
The maximum point of release tends to be a little bit further, as an idea.
of course it happens exactly the opposite if we move the ball to the more forward foot. Therefore, the club that hits with a flatter angle of attack, even positive in some cases, an increasing loft of the club with the trajectory going more to the left, and the face of the club that tends to close up more.
That's crap.
And at this point, where should we put the ball?
It depends on what kind of shot we want to do, and also a little bit from what kind of swing we do.
Very good. We are talking about a shot that's full. The classic one, as I like to call the standard shot.
Which is standard for us.
Standard for us. We have a classic iron that flies away straight with good height. Where should I place the ball? The best position to put the ball is the one where the club is most likely to get there. Straight toward the target, going as straight as possible along the line of the shot we're hitting. That goes to hit the ball as best as possible with the desired angle of attack, with the desired off.
May I? But because I learned it, because I saw you lecturing on this thing, it's beautiful. So get the club that you want to work with. Okay, how to optimize now. Now I'm holding the sand. Let's do the sand. Maybe the 7 iron or maybe a wood. Let's see, correct me if I'm wrong so I can see if I understood everything. No, because it is so cool.
He was wrong, but let's not tell him now.
I pretend to understand what he's going to say to me. Now you can do some no-load swing, making the club slide on the ground, where you'll have made a little bit of an extra step, is the point at which the club is having maximum speed and release. Put the ball there or just slightly further back, okay? And at that point, the position will be the best for our swing, I mean, in that given situation and obviously with that given club.
And on that particular day, I can also tell you that maybe the next day we are a little bit slower as a body rotation, or a little bit faster, or we hurt one of knees and lean a little more on the other. A lot of things can happen. In that specific situation, the club is get in there, and there we put the ball. Very simple. However, there are also shots from which we don't want to get a perfect clean impact, for example.
Of course.
Like shots from the bunker.
So we want to pick them up first.
Correct.
So once you understand that sand touches you, pata, please, after doing a lot of swings, and I realized that the point where I screwed up a little bit more is this. If I want to hit the ball easily, I will put the ball a little bit more. If I'm right-handed, on the right of this point. But if I want to take the sand and then hit a flop shot, I'm going to put it a little bit further forward than where I expect that the club has the lowest point, because I also want to hit a little bit of ground. This also happens when you want to hit a flop shot, a slightly dirty lob of those on purpose that are almost fat shots, but because they don't have to go too far.
And so there's not the right spot to put the ball. There is the spot at that moment there. However, it can also happen that maybe I have problems of direction.
Okay.
For example, I have a club trajectory that walks a little too much from the inside out. So is the club coming out too far to the right? I can take advantage of the fact that at some point the club will stand up straight again. And then I can advance the ball towards the feet, or vice versa. I come a little bit too much from the outside. I can put the ball back towards my feet a little bit. That goes a little bit to take away the divergence between the trajectory and the line of shot, which is what I do with the drive. I put the ball so much to the left because my trajectory is a little too much from the inside. At that point there,
it's a little bit straighter, or almost even a line from the outside.
I want to hit a fade ball to the left. I open the face a little bit, and then you hit it.
Ciaone, yeah. And for example, with the drive, another thing you tend to do is putting it a little bit more to the left than the lowest point of the swing arc, because generally it is said that it tends to be true, the club is optimized. The hit is optimized as well if the head of the club is rising slightly, and the club is more likely to be rising in the arc of the swing if the ball is more on the left.
More on the left or
more
forward?
to the left of where I have my lowest point.
But here now there is a problem though. What you identified earlier, which is, now I do the model for you.
Go.
I move the ball to the feet. I put it a little further back. However, I'm going to look for hitting the ball, and as a consequence I unbalance my swing. And at this point here I can cancel the result, the benefit of a ball, more backward or more forward in feet, depending on what I wanted. Additionally, creating issues within our swing.
Problems, yes.
And it's usually something that happens a lot with the drive. You put the ball as much to the left, and of course I go and try to hit. Then at this point,
There's always some delay.
work badly, the ball loses speed, starts, loafs, goes crooked.
Disaster.
Therefore, once we move the ball from our feet, we have to move it for a reason and try to trust our swing by making sure that the club will take advantage of what it has to do.
But especially for another reason. Because if we moved it to the right to have a certain kind of impact, because we want it much further back from the lowest point of the swing, and then we move physically the body, we are actually going to reparameterize everything else as well. And so there is no longer a constant to work on.
Therefore, establish that there is no such thing as the right point. I would say no for a general right one. Let's see though, where we put the ball.
Ciaone.
One shot each. So I'll start with.
No, let's start with a series of shots. But I mean, let's do it correctly. Drive, you said. Where you put it?
I put it between. Practically almost on the tip.
Toe and heel.
That's the point where my club is working well, from the bottom to the top, with, you know, a sort of slight fade effect.
Yes.
Kind of, okay.
Then woods from the ground.
Wood from the ground. In my case, I place it here.
One pair of toes from the left heel.
I like to think of it this way. I put myself with feet together in front of the ball. I move my left foot about 1 foot.
Yes.
This is a third foot to put in the middle. And then I open well my right foot. And I tell you that this technique here, I keep it almost with all type of irons. I just close my right foot a little more based on the iron
Proportionally, as if I'm moving back slightly.
However,
it's
it is
actually
actually
almost in the same place.
for shot. standard and medium flight shot, medium trajectory shot.
Of course. Is it okay and with full wedge type iron?
Full wedge, also here, or slightly more advanced.
In order to better pass under it?
When I need a shot that goes higher and a little softer, only however if the ball is placed well enough.
Special shots. If you want to do a low shot from under the plants, do you use the de-loft technique of putting the ball behind the club?
Yes, but not too far back the ball, because I already de-loft
A lot.
of my own with my hand. So if I put the ball really on my right foot or even off my right foot, as someone does, the ball wouldn't even come off the ground for me. Or I would need a club so much open and so much de-lofted that at the end it could create a very unbalanced situation.
You usually play with small draw, but what if you want to do the opposite turn instead? For example, you want to try not to make it turn left like your classic, but instead keep it a little bit steadier or even left-right.
Two options, high fade.
Yes.
Slightly more advanced ball near our feet.
So you turn fast, fast and fast.
My trajectory is already going slightly to the left. I just have to keep my face slightly and then turn super fast.
Okay.
Low fade. Fade flying at the same height as a normal shot. A little
So-
more central, a little further back, or even close to the feet. However, I have to turn around so much.
So you open the stance.
I open the stance a lot here,
So the lines of the lower body point further to the left of the target.
but it's my way,
Yes, that's right.
and that's it.
Now it's my turn.
The turn.
Ask me the same question.
I'll ask you different ones.
Damn, I had studied a lot.
Bunker with soft ground.
So exiting the bunker with the soft ground because I have a sand not very open and with a medium bounce, I tend to keep it central because I have the risk of digging too much.
Another variable that is often not taken into account is that moving the ball to the feet also changes the bounce of the club. So especially in the short game, be careful. It depends very much on from how you swing, from what kind of bottom you have, what kind of wedge.
But also irons in general, because a wider sole and a narrower sole allow to hit some shots and do not allow others to be made. So our experiments depend, because we also have this variable.
So then, bunker with hard ground.
In a bunker with hard ground, I have to close the club because I have to mainly remove bounce, and at which point I also set it back a little bit because I have to try to get it to dig in. And so I will be closed face and ball a little bit to the left, I must just show you clearly. I know I'm going to start a little bit lower because I'm removing some loft though, so the club digs a lot.
Watch out.
Scuso, the scuso, definition of scuso.
By definition.
I made it up, but I
How
didn't
do I
create
find
the
it?
definition. WikiGolf,
You made it up, but
WikiGolf did it.
come on, you never come up with the definition.
Off the right foot,
Off the right foot.
closed face, and then we hit.
Shot from underneath.
This is scuso. Let's go a little like this.
Lob from the low fairway.
So there, for example, is another one of those points where I don't have a lob because the highest I use is the 56. And having a medium bounce because clearly I have to have a club that is as versatile as possible. I have to be very careful. So what do? Open the blade a little bit and I have to be able to get the club exactly at the lowest point of the swing, but not too much further back, because if not, I take off loft and it won't rise up. But also not just too far ahead, because if not, the risk is that the club sliding will bounce, and at that point I do a top shot. And so it is somehow fundamentally in the center of the feet that is also the center of the swing.
Yeah, in the air.
By the way, watch that I am careful not to ruin the carefully cut area of the course.
Which means you're hitting the ball at the lowest point. Sure.
That's right. Also because in this case, I don't need to hit ball and clump, and so it doesn't make sense.
But
I knew it.
ball on the rough a little bit in a hole where you needed to dig with our shot.
So, since I have a swing that, me being differently tall, it doesn't have a crazy angle of attack, so I have to help myself out. Okay.
Okay, the Gigi shot never comes from the top to the bottom, it comes from the
From
bottom
bottom
to the
to bottom. You know, they draw me like this. You don't know that I was born super tall. Then due to 16:9 video,
Crumpled up the paper.
no, it's just that they created 16:9 as a matter of homologation with the ratio of the video, and so they had to adapt me. And then, however, I said a lot of rubbish. And I don't remember what you had asked me. Ah, yes, when it's down on the rough.
You hit it
In
hard.
the end, I do almost the scuso or something that's similar, and thus ball very much on the right foot. Let's say heel of the right foot. That opens the stance a little bit because I need the club to have bar BPM. Freedom of movement, because I'm already going to be cracked on the ground, because I'll use all my energy so that the club is working from the bottom to the top.
From top to bottom.
From top to bottom.
Bottom to bottom.
From the bottom to bottom. And so then, so I can get to the, without putting too much grass between face and ball when hitting the ball.
And this is instead a question I ask you. Because I'm breaking a cold sweat. I don't know how to do it. I know how it works, but I don't know how to do it. Drive with the strong wind against it.
High wind drives against us. It involves being able to get the ball to fly not too low, but obviously not too high either. But the most important thing to be able to manage is the spin. Because what happens, imagine that you have a mass of air coming against you, because this is the wind against. If the ball is turning a lot on itself, so it creates lift, it will dig so much the field that I was able to get it to start low. But if there is too much spin, the result is that it will engage so much.
Exactly.
At that point, all the wind is vertical.
Which is what happens to me.
Pure. To try to keep the ball a little lower because of my type of swing.
I'm going to increase my angle of attack a little bit. The ball starts to get a little more spin. It comes out a little low. However, it rears up and goes at full speed.
The first rule, when we play with the wind against, not considering where to place the ball, because that depends on your swing, is that you have to hit with less impetuosity. You have to be able to hit a shot in such a way that by not compressing the ball too much, the ball does not take too much spin. So the perfect shot is a shot that is like brushed, or in the case of the drive, slightly from the bottom to the top, and trying to pull a little bit less than full, which is what you would get though, because with the wind against it is so strong. Instead, a nice soft 80% tap.
The classic mistake you make with the wind against you is hitting harder because you think that your 8-iron doesn't go too far. When the
I
wind
put the ball
messes
a
your
little
shot.
bit further back. So you gave it more spin on average because you had more angle of attack. The ball gets higher.
And falls in front of the bunker.
And the harder you hit it, the more it goes up in the air instead of going forward.
Or extra iron.
Extra iron.
Smooth motion. The loft is already less, so the ball already goes lower. It takes less spin. The shot was good. The problem is when I have the wind against me. I can't. I get crazy, honestly. I want to hit the hardest shot. Ball in the eye.
There is to say that you have an average angle of attack that is quite impactful. You often have your hands as far forward, very loaded. And so you find it easy to keep it down. What you find a little more difficult is not giving it all the spin.
Indeed. I have seen practice from very strong players used to playing in the wind. So in English courses, generally playing the shots with the wind against them.
Even with the ball in front.
With the ball almost off their left foot, trying to keep the hands loaded in such a way as to take some of the
loft.
The ball is so far left that the club is already going up. And so low ball, very little spin. Super hard.
You have to hit it slower for that too, because it is easier to move your body faster and your hands a little slower if you go a little slower. Because when you try to speed up that, the first thing that starts strong are arms and hands on average.
So we found out where to place our ball between our feet.
Mamma mia, what a feeling.
What is the right position?
It depends, and let us know below in the comments what you usually do.
What is your range, or what is a particular shot that maybe only you have? You are only able to do, with the ball maybe positioned one way.
Gigi style, scuso model.
Exactly, creative stuff between the feet.
Let us know below in the comments and
Start.
By the way, excuse me for only hitting perfect shots, slipping so amiably with my very, very fingertip. He's a bureau. He's a bureau.
G. Che te lo dico a fa, they would say.
Good. Bye. Bye. All right, come on, I'll follow you.
No.
Are you ready?
Where are we doing this?
Here. Right light. Are we? 1, 2, 3, tarari, tarara.
Bella, bella, bella. Bella, bella, bella pata.